Hey everybody, and welcome to A Path to Contemplation. My name is Andrea Williamson, and I'm really excited to get started in our first series called Spiritual Practices. Today we're going to be talking about what spiritual practices are, where they came from. We're going to move into our own practice of what's called Visio Divina, and then finally I want to give you some helpful tools that you can use to prepare yourself and to prepare whatever space you'll be doing contemplation. So Visio Divina is translated to mean divine seeing. It's similar to Lectio Divina, meaning divine reading, but you're focusing on an image instead. Today we'll be focusing on an image and listening to the ways that God is speaking to us through a tree. So if you're just tuning into this video series, I'd encourage you to go back to our Facebook and Instagram page and check out the introduction video. That'll give you more of a sense of what we'll be doing over the next couple of weeks, and of course over the rest of the summer. So let's answer our first question. What is a spiritual practice? Richard Rohr would describe this as anything that brings us back to God. And I would say anything that brings us back to ourselves as well. This can be a practice that brings you into awareness of God's presence in you, with you, the relationship that you have with God. Now there are ways that we already do spiritual practices in our communities and on our own. So if you think back to your faith traditions at home, you've probably done things together like worship or Bible study or even communion. When we're thinking about ourselves as three-dimensional beings, mind, body, and spirit, that means that we should be developing spiritual practices, not just taking care of our minds, not just taking care of our bodies, but doing what we need to as well to take care of our spirits. So some of the individual spiritual practices I do are things like walking or painting or meeting with a spiritual director or a counselor, and even listening to music or creating music. Again, you have a myriad of options to consider, and these options will be unique to you as you decide what you will create, what kind of spiritual practice is natural to you, makes sense to you, makes it easier for you to return to yourself and return back into awareness with God. So where did spiritual practices come from? Well, spiritual practices are another form of prayer, as we've said, and they've been used throughout the centuries, mostly found in Catholic and Eastern Orthodox communities, where things like icons were used to meditate on for prayer. And you'll see an icon on the table a little bit later in the video. So when we're looking at Visio Divina today, this practice shouldn't be one that's extremely new to you. I bet you'll find that you've been doing parts of this spiritual practice already in your lives. Maybe that has been through looking at a stained glass window or a piece of art or something in nature that really spoke to you. And maybe you got a deep sense of inner knowing or insight from meditating on what you were divinely seeing. So when I was putting together materials for this video, I was trying to think of an image that would be helpful for our community, one that really speaks to us. And then I remembered how many times we've talked about trees, how many times trees show up in the Bible in ways that depict humans and also serve as guides for what humans can grow into being. Also thought about what we might need during this time as we've transitioned online and still considering some of the things that we're experiencing in our world today. So I came up with this tree, and I painted this a few weeks ago And to be honest, I think before the transition, it may have been more difficult for us to even find ourselves on this image, inside the frame of this image rather, in the sky or around the trees or even in the trunk. I think it could be difficult at times because we were going and going and going to be able to get rooted like this, to go deep enough to pass through just the grass and into the soil. But because of the ways that we've transitioned to what we're experiencing now, I wanted to give you guys a little bit more room to experience, to grow, to rest, and even to find some strength. So this picture below the tree is another painting of what I will call an expanse. This should give you a little bit more room to experience your inner self and to experience maybe what God is trying to speak to you. So as you're looking at this image, I want you to pay attention to the details that you see. There's a lot of options too: the sun and the moon, the sky, the leaves and the branches, the trunk, and there's a circle in the middle. I'll leave that to you to interpret. You can also see some of the grass peeking out of the soil. And then you'll start to see the different layers of the clay. I think the soil is where we were trying to get to before this big transition. But underneath the clay is where you have permission to expand, explore, find some rest, some strength, so that you can come back to yourself and exist again. So what you see on the table, there's some things I think will help you. I'll be honest, when I started to move into that greater expanse, I was a little bit afraid of what that darkness looked like, what it was like to open your eyes and not see anything around you, what that sounded like and what that felt like. Relaxing that much and into a space where if your image is darkness, if you can't see anything, that can be a little bit frightening. So for me, I had to create breadcrumbs. You'll see that in the candle, the diffuser, the stones, the oil, the icon, and there's a journal here too. That could be helpful for you to just kind of write down things that you experienced. So I'll say this too, your senses are very important in this contemplative practice, in preparing yourself for contemplative practices. Sometimes engaging your senses can give you a heightened sense of awareness. Sometimes if you try to get grounded and don't feel grounded enough, they can help you to open up more. Sometimes just having this candle in a dark room let me know that I was safe, let me know that the light was still there with me. Or using the oil with the diffuser. If I was in a really relaxed state and smelled the scent of the oil, I knew that I was still present in my room or wherever I was meditating. And then, I guess on a more subconscious level, the stones, one says trust me and the other one says love never fails. those were helpful for me in setting intentions to prepare myself to relax into that space. So again, if I needed to feel safe or I needed to know where I started, I could think about those things and find my way back. So that's what we're going to end with today, finding your way back using your breadcrumbs. Now, how do you transition out of an experience like this? This is again where I think your body will have a lot to say, and it will let you know what it needs. Sometimes I use my diffuser as a timer. So when it goes off, all the water is gone, there's no more scent coming out of it. And sometimes I feel ready to come out then. Other times, maybe I come out before, or I stay a little bit longer because it just doesn't feel right to leave yet. You'll know, and the more you do it, you'll be able to give a more accurate estimation of what your body needs and how ending that time feels like and what it would look like. So, you guys, in thinking about Visio Divina, I think this is a practice that will really be helpful to us right now. Using whatever image, whether it be on a canvas or print, whether it be outside in nature, whether it be something that you think of in your own mind. This is a place where we can visit more of an expanse and really let ourselves go in the vastness of God's presence and protection and love. So this is the place that I invite you into. And you guys, if you find yourself there and you find yourself needing more support, ask questions, get the support that you need. I'll say again, moving into that space was not the easiest thing for me to do. And you may find that that's your experience as well. So just be aware of that. So after we finish today, I invite you to play this video again and do a meditation with this image or another image that you choose. I'd love to hear about your experiences. Again, if you'd like to comment, questions, I'd love to have a conversation with you about it. So that wraps us up for today. I'm excited for your experiences. Next week we're going to be looking at Lectio Divina. So I can't wait to see you guys. Take care.